Support for this podcast comes from CLR Clear. For the annoying mess you're facing down in your home, you can fight the clean fight with CLR Clear. Battle against calcium buildup. Go toe-to-toe with toilet scum. Duke it out with disposal rot. The entire line of powerful formulas works hard to vanquish dirt, grime, and deposits all around your home. So KO the crud. Fight the clean fight with CLR Clear. Visit CLRbrands.com to learn more.
Hear that? That's the sound of my just got a payment worth 3 months of payroll face, also known as my pay face. It happens when I can accept credit and debit cards, bank transfer, and mobile pay with Intuit QuickBooks. That's payments made easy. Wait, I thought this ad was over? Oh no, here comes my holding in a squeal in front of a customer face. And my, whoa, getting paid twice as fast face. Thanks for that, QuickBooks.
QuickBooks Payments account subject to eligibility. Twice as fast based on customer use comparison from August 2019 to July 2020.
The VP of a women-led boutique accidentally sent a TikToker an email calling her not that cute. Black and LGBTQ rideshare passengers and drivers are being falsely reported for not wearing face masks. And as a slate of new horror movies hits the screens this season, BuzzFeed's Allie Hayes is breaking down the scary movies you need to see before the summer's over.
It's July 13th, 2021. Hey friends, I'm Casey Rackham.
And I'm Shyla Watson. Welcome to BuzzFeed Daily.
Oh, Shyla, today was Emmy nomination morning.
Today's the day. How do you feel?
I mean, I feel like this always happens. I was like, okay, nothing like super surprises me. Everyone, like a lot of great people were nominated this time. I just always get stressed out when there's one category where I think everyone should win. And do you know where that one landed for me this time? It's actually Outstanding Lead Actress in a Limited Series or Movie.
Okay, so why? Because for me, that's like an instant Michaela Cole should win.
I know, but listen to the other ones too. So obviously we need Michaela Cole for I May Destroy You. But now we're also talking about Elizabeth Olsen in WandaVision. We're also talking about Anya Taylor-Joy in The Queen's Gambit. We're also talking about Cynthia Erivo in Genius Aretha. And we're also talking about Kate Winslet in Mare of Easttown.
Okay, that's a lot.
It's like all so it really stresses me out because I'm like, oh right, give them all an award.
Yes, let's just do that instead.
All right, so moving on to actually, I think this is just like a wild story. I can't believe this happened. But this woman, Gracie Lawrence, is among the latest TikTokers to go viral after calling out a self-described women-led boutique for accidentally sending her an extremely disrespectful email. So Gracie applied to be a brand representative at Michigan store Ava Lane Boutique and later was mistakenly sent an email calling her, quote, not that cute from the shop's VP of operations, Truck DeGrendel, who is the husband of the owner of the boutique. So Gracie shared the email, which was meant for the store's founder, in a TikTok that's since gotten nearly 2 million views. And since then, Gracie has received thousands of messages of support, and the boutique has made all its social media profiles private and has been hit with enough 1-star Google Play reviews to bring its 5-star rating down to less than 1.5 stars. Gracie told BuzzFeed News that she's not interested in inciting the backlash any further. And then for good old Chuck, Detroit News reported that he appeared in a Facebook live stream and said that he, quote, deserves that blowback.
I'm just like, why? Like, first of all, this is just like, this is bad etiquette. Like, how do you accidentally send an email to the wrong person? Like, I mean, I guess we've all been there, but also, why are we talking bad about people? And why do people's looks matter? Like,
one point blank, don't do that. Here's where it gets like even worse. So according to the boutique's website, its platform is to, quote, give back and empower other women wherever possible. And I think it's just absolutely disgusting when you have a brand that outwardly is pushing some sort of positive agenda, which to be fair is a lot, and then internally are not being supportive of that agenda.
Right. This is really going to hurt them.
Oh boy.
So in other news, an Uber and Lyft feature meant to promote safety during the pandemic has led to discrimination on the apps. BuzzFeed News has learned that Black and LGBTQ passengers and drivers alike are being falsely reported for not wearing masks. Some don't even make it into the car before getting reported. Several drivers who have been with the rideshare apps for years found themselves booted from the services after being falsely accused of violating mask guidelines.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, believe them at face value that this is what happened to them. But two, one of the drag queens actually had taken a selfie during their ride where they're wearing a mask, so there is proof that they were wearing a mask. And I just love this quote that BuzzFeed News got. And it says, it's one of those things where it happens one or two times, you might think it's a coincidence, but around the fifth or sixth time, or even the second time in a day or a week, you start to realize. And that came from Corey, a 29-year-old who lives in Chicago and who is Black. And, you know, there has been a long time issue of discrimination when it comes to hailing a taxi or lifts and stuff like that based on your identity. And so it's like this isn't a new situation, but it is an awful one.
Yeah. And especially like, I know, like, you know, I do have a hard time getting a ride sometimes, not because of my race necessarily, but just because like I don't drive. So I need to get a car. So I'm really beholden to these services. And then also for the drivers, this is their livelihood sometimes. You know, oftentimes this is how they're making their money. So to just boot people so quickly for something that they're not even doing and messing with their livelihood is horrible.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right. So moving on to something, I'm going to say lighter, but not
but
that
also
light.
not.
At this point in the summer, you may need a break from all the big budget action flicks and rom-coms. You know, maybe you need a disturbing mind bender to even things out. Well, the good news is that you no longer have to wait for October or Halloween for your fix of slow-burning thrillers or slasher flicks. The summer's blockbuster season is packed with a huge variety of fear-inducing horror.
Now, if you are in need of some excitement by way of a terrifying movie experience, and who isn't? Me. BuzzFeed's Allie Hayes has got you covered. She joins us now to break down your best bets for some scares this summer season. Hi, Allie. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh my gosh, thank you guys for having me back.
So there are so many different types of scary movies packed within the horror genre alone. So first, give us a sampling of the trends you're seeing this summer and like what types of horror we're in store for.
So as far as what I'm noticing for sure this summer specifically, is that we just kind of came out of a year that was a horror movie unto itself.
Yes.
So it seems like we're kind of, I know this is going to lead into something else we wanted to discuss today, but we're definitely seeing kind of a throwback to comfortable horror films, if you will.
Now, can you talk about that more? Because I don't think Shyla and I are ever comfortable when watching horror films.
Right. So by comfortable horror films, I don't mean literally comfortable. I mean kind of characters and franchises that we're familiar with. None of us want anything new that we haven't already kind of established. And the new stuff is kind of throwing it back to old school stuff. So even though it's new characters and films, it's definitely familiar feelings, kind of throwing things back to the 90s or the 70s or even 80s slasher. Definitely something I'm seeing coming forward. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about sequels next. Yeah.
Okay, right. Yeah. So I want to talk about all of these sequels. You know, among the mix, there's some hugely anticipated ones, you know, from The Saw, The Purge, The Conjuring, all the franchises. You know, is there any life left to breathe into these movies, or should we just be happy some of our old favorites are back?
So I'm fighting so hard to not do my social network Facebook joke where it's just Saw. It's not The Saw. Cut the, it's cleaner. Yeah, we're definitely seeing a throwback to these like super familiar franchises for people. With Saw, the movie is actually called Spiral, and it's Spiral from the Book of Saw. So it really doesn't, it really doesn't want to be part of the 8 billion Saw movies with one of the craziest timelines ever. But it's kind of its new thing that takes place in a familiar world. So you can just kind of jump right in and meet these new characters, but you already know that you're in for somebody losing a limb at some point.
Oh.
Yeah, we all want our money's worth. What can I say?
So, you know, speaking of like these types of returns, this summer has horror seeing the return of some big name directors in the genre. M. Night Shyamalan, for example. You know, his films have been hit or miss with audience throughout the years, but there was a lot of anticipation for his return to the big screen. So talk to us about his new movie, Old, and whether you think he can satisfy moviegoers this time around.
I absolutely love the sentence. Let's talk about his new movie, Old. That's just great.
I feel like I don't even need to know what this movie is about, but something about people getting older is already my horror film. Like I'm living that right now. So
Well, I've made the same joke every time I've seen the trailer for like the past 2 months, where there's like a line where one of the women is like, we're aging 1 year every half hour. And I'm like, listen, if you have anxiety, you're already aging 1 year every half hour.
So is that the premise of this movie? Is that the log line of this movie?
From what I can tell, the one like takeaway line would be that they are literally on a beach, and every hour or half hour, they're just aging rapidly. Like it shows a little boy who's like 4, and then a little while later he comes back and he's a whole ass teenager. And it's like, it's horrifying. So from what I can tell, that's what the film is about. As far as talking about Shyamalan, I have a lot of feelings about Shyamalan, and they're not negative. But I think when you go into a Shyamalan movie, you have to go in knowing you're about to watch a Shyamalan movie. I think people walk in just forgetting what they're going to see. But as long as you're going in wanting to have fun and see something positively ridiculous, then you're going to have a good time. So I'm pretty excited for that because I know it's going to be something.
Okay, so, and then we've got like old school classics. Like people are beyond excited for the return of the iconic Candyman. You know, this movie is among the most hyped this summer. Why do you think people are so excited about it? And do you see it living up to such high expectations?
So I'll start with the last question first because it's the easiest to answer. I think yes. Just from the footage that I've seen, it looks like it's going to be so good. I'm so excited about it. As far as the reason that people in general are excited for it, I can only speak for why I'm so excited for it. But I'm so excited for it just because of all of the incredible talent attached to it. It's a little hard to not be looking forward to something like that when it's being directed by Nia DaCosta, who's fantastic. Yeah, she's unbelievable. She did Little Woods, and that's one of my recent faves. And then it's being produced by Jordan Peele. And you know, if he's going to slap his name on something, you know, if that man's throwing money at something, that I'm going to throw my money at it too. So it's starring Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who is an unbelievable actor, first and foremost.
And very pretty.
Second, I was going to say, and second most is more like eye candy, man. Am I right, ladies? Am I right, everybody? Yeah, no, that man is something for the eyes. So I already made the joke to one of our writers on the website where I was like, you summon Candyman by saying his name 5 times. And I'm like, that's cool and all, but how do I summon Yahya to my house?
Yes, that's real.
That's something I'm more interested in learning about. But they're all incredible. They're doing a really neat twist on the original story, which I'm, of course, a huge fan of, the 1992 version. And they're kind of doing a neat twist where it seems like the main character is kind of himself turning into Candyman. At least that's kind of what it seems to be hinting at. So I'm very excited for that. It looks so good.
So it's got a little bit of the Shining element.
Yes, a little bit of The Shining, a lot of mirrors I'm going to be avoiding more than I normally do.
Great.
Okay, we'll be right back with more from BuzzFeed's Allie Hayes, who's breaking down more of all the bingeable horror movies you need to stream this summer.
Hi, friends. So a question to ask yourself. As things start to open up and more people are getting vaccinated, maybe it's also time to date again. Your love life no longer needs to be on hold. It's time for the real thing, a real connection. And OkCupid is here for you, however you choose to date. OkCupid is about meeting someone real, someone you can feel like you already know even before you get to know them. Because OkCupid asks so many great questions, you can get a really good sense for who someone is before you meet them. When you're ready to get back out there, take a look at the OkCupid dating app. It's free. Download the OkCupid app in the App Store today. Hey friends, so there's no doubt about it. 2020 changed us, and now we are all looking for new forms of entertainment. Podcasting, on-demand audio, audiobooks, audio is where it's at. So let me tell you about Audible. Audible is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment all in one place. At Audible, you can find the largest selection of audiobooks, from bestsellers to celebrity memoirs, guided fitness, meditation, and original entertainment from top celebrities, plus thousands of popular and binge-worthy podcasts. Now with Audible Plus, you can get full access to the Audible Plus catalog. Listen all you want to ad-free versions of thousands and thousands of popular audiobooks, original entertainment, and podcasts, all available to download and stream so you can listen anywhere on any device. Now new members can try Audible Plus for free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/BuzzFeed or text BuzzFeed to 500-500.
Welcome back. So, something that is sure to satisfy 90s kids everywhere is R.L. Stine is back, and Fear Street is Netflix's summer film trilogy event.
There was a time when things were good on Shady Side. But now, that's all gone.
Oh man, I turn the wood around with the skeleton hand, yeah.
Hello?
Still alive.
Who is this?
It's happening again.
These stories, of course, are based on the R.L. Stine books that kept us up at night. So, Allie, talk to us about why everyone is obsessed with Fear Street and how it's practically tailor-made for binging on horror this summer.
It really is. Like, those books are just made to be really bingeable movies. I always talk about Fear Street. Fear Street is kind of what you moved up to when you graduated from Goosebumps. You were like, oh, I'm not really scared of Goosebumps anymore. And I want something a little more scary, but not quite Stephen King yet. We're not ready. So we're at Fear Street. And those are really, really great kind of mid-teens horror books. I remember I read one, and this is about to date me so bad, and I don't remember what the title of it was, but it was like about prank phone calling, and it involved call waiting, and it was so scary. The call waiting was horrifying, and now I don't even answer the phone when it rings, so I'm like, I
mean, honestly, when the phone rings, it's still horrifying, because I'm like, who's calling me? Don't do that.
Well, I'm like, someone has made a terrible mistake.
Yes. So what do you make of this experiment in streaming from Netflix? Like, I think you said this before, but it's like this was designed for a streaming audience, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's a really neat experiment for them, especially in this genre, just because it gives them the ability to try out things. So with the Fear Street trilogy, it's 3 movies, and each one takes place in a different century. So that's kind of how they're setting this up. So the first one is the 90s, and then this is very scary. The first one's the 90s, then the second one's the 70s, and then the third one takes place in like the 1660s. That's the one that I believe comes out this Friday. They all interconnect, all the stories. I don't want to spoil anything, but all the stories interconnect with each other, but can be watched individually as well. And I think that's just a really neat thing that you wouldn't be able to try out on anything else other than a streaming platform.
Okay, so looking ahead to prime horror season this fall, we also had some huge trailers drop this summer. We have Halloween Kills and One Night in Soho, both coming out in October. Both are expected to be huge. What are you hearing right now about them?
So it's extremely exciting because we kind of have two very different examples of the exact same thing I was talking about. So we have Halloween Kills, which is the sequel to Halloween, which is a very confusing sentence because for some reason they named the sequel to Halloween. So that's Jamie Lee Curtis is back. Michael Myers won't die. You know, the classics. So that should be really, really good. And then we have on the other end of the spectrum, we have One Night in Soho, which is a brand new horror movie. It's not based on anything. It's not a sequel to anything. And it's Edgar Wright directing and writing. And it's his return to the horror genre because he did Shaun of the Dead. And though there's a lot of argument over whether that's actually a horror movie or not, I'm here to tell you that just because you laugh during a horror movie doesn't mean it's not a horror movie. So that's really exciting to see as well. The trailers for both of those look incredible. I've watched them both several times, but I'm very excited for both of those. So that should be good for the fall, going into little Halloween foreplay season.
Allie, before you go, Shyla and I are both horror babies. We don't do well with the scary. So out of all these movies that are coming out, which one do you think we should start with? Like, which one do you think we could handle?
Honestly, I think you guys would probably really like Fear Street. Just because it's the R.L. Stine stuff. So it's more spooky than it is scary. So that's really cool.
Here is my immediate concern. That I watch it in my home and then I'm scared someone's going to come into my home. Whereas if I watch it in a theater, I might be less scared.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm going to watch Candyman in a theater and I'm going to go home and still be scared. There's a man in my mirror.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that Shyla and I should definitely not
I was going to say, maybe stick to the Eternals when that comes out. Stick to some Marvel movies. I can give you some other movies to watch.
I think I'll just wait until Candyman is available to stream, and then I'll watch it on mute at home, so I can just see Yaya. But then, I'm not scared, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. It's fair. First up.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Allie, for joining us today.
Of course. Thank you guys so much for having me again.
All right, that's it for today. Come back and join us tomorrow.
And remember, give women all the awards.
Be sure to subscribe to BuzzFeed Daily on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you go for your sound stories.
And please take the time to leave us a rating and a review. It helps us figure out what you like about the show versus what you love about the show. And remember to come back for more of what you love about BuzzFeed, coming to you daily.
The rich and powerful want us to think the economy is a line on a stock market ticker. That's wrong. The economy is powered by us. It's what we create, what we buy, what we need. President Biden has proposed bold public investments in jobs and families, but more is needed. We need housing, healthcare, caregiving, action on the climate crisis, and millions of good-paying jobs. This is our moment to finally unlock prosperity for all of us. For more information, go to prosperus.org. That's prosperus.org.
Hello, I'm Ron Burgundy, and I've got a new season of my podcast. I'll be joined by my co-host, Carolina Barlow. I'll be discussing important topics from QAnon to TikTok, and Carolina Barlow will try and stop me from telling the truth.
No, that's not true.
You know what they say, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Anyway, if you like hearing about things that really matter in this world, like raccoons and sex cults, then listen to the Ron Burgundy Podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Click it or ticket. Brought to you by NHTSA.